creature of the night, not the most pleasant of sight. If alone, gaze into the darkness, I will be there representing blood's kiss. Creature of the night, don't mean to bring you fright. I'm a creature of the night, not the most pleasant of sight. If alone, gaze into the darkness, I will be there representing blood's kiss. Whoa. All right, hello, everyone. Let me get the webcam on.
That might help.
It does that. It's a glitch of some sort. There we go. All right.
No, it's user error.
No, it actually does that randomly because
No,
I
it's
never
user error.
move it.
I'm going with user error.
Okay, I'm not that silly goose.
Hey, I know that would be a me thing, but
That
come
would
on.
be you. I was gonna say it was more you, unless you got on here.
I
You messed
haven't
with
been
it.
on. I don't have your password to get on there.
It's an expensive system. You know.
Mm-hmm.
How's everyone doing? Different time this week on a Saturday.
Kind of weird.
It's been a minute since I think we've done that. We've never missed a week since we've started this web series, live stream series, but I think we've done a Saturday once before, at least once. But anyway, so we kind of had to this time. There's no way we could even do it live last night.
Unless we were giving them
there's
a
no
concert
way.
live.
Yeah, unless
Not
we did a
giving-
concert live, but I didn't want to necessarily risk getting set up on doing that and then have, I don't know. So you wouldn't have been able to hear it. It just would have been crappy. So
Mm-hmm.
we were focused more so on the vlog, the concert vlog, which will be for this channel. Be one of the next ones pieced together. So good stuff. So stay tuned for that. So that will be on here on the Alternative Dimwits channel soon. No time yet of when, because there's a lot of stuff. I haven't had a chance to pull stuff off the phone and stuff from the pro camera thing that I use on one of my main production cameras. So, and then she has some stuff on hers too, which you might mix and match some of that too. So yeah, a lot of stuff to go through still, convert it over, and then have it pieced together for presentation purposes on here. I'll give a few more minutes here. We could talk a little bit about how we had a late day today. Slept in, of course. We'll go kind of more into the beginning, big bulk of that in a little bit, but yeah, sleeping into like noon. It felt like a paranormal overnight investigation again, where you get back at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning kind of thing.
Yeah,
The
and my
birds
case,
are chirping.
like, when I'm getting or leaving to see my kids and having to work an overnight shift and then trying to come home
Right.
after being up all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminded me of, at least, is a little bit about jet lag, the paranormal hangover, as they call it. But yeah, we got back about 6:20, 6:15, 6:20 in the morning.
So concert hangover?
Well, I mean, ish, because yeah, it's different
More of
from
a travel hangover.
having because it was the longest one away that you and I both gone together. Because yeah, normally after a concert or a show, even an orchestra show, get out, and usually you don't have too much of a either, because if it's like something where I saw Synthesis Live, which is Evanescence singing back in 2017 in Chicago, my concert buddy at that time and we had a hotel that we already had. It was a bigger arrangement, bigger thing, money spent. So there wasn't
Which we
really a
could've done,
hangover.
but-
There wasn't a hangover. Well, yeah,
It
it's
just didn't.
bad timing with her still just getting her first check of disability, which that was fun to cash. We'll go into that here in a moment too. That's about the ups and downs of this week. So we'll get into that in a second. What else was I gonna say? Oh, and the gaming. Yeah, I was gonna mention Twitch. Planning to go on stream on there in a little bit after this wraps up. We're starting early tonight because I was like ready to go at like 6:15 tonight. I didn't want to start anything else and then lose track of time. Be like, oh yeah. So I want to get on there, and you guys, some of you were waiting because you're probably wondering what happened last night. If you didn't catch the memo, but I tried to announce it earlier in the week, and then we announced it yesterday.
And I
You did, and I announced the schedule reminder earlier today about tonight. So
Like to the point we didn't really eat anything. Well, I haven't really eaten anything today, which is why I'm munching.
right, so and let me check one thing here.
And I
You
put
you
both.
did, nice. Okay, cool. Just watching us
We
back.
just threw everybody off on our day off thing.
Yeah, I know. We did. People aren't ready for us now. They're like, oh, on Saturday, what? So, the archive thing, or tune into this also. So we're getting people, normally within the first 10 minutes we have some people. I know Lupita usually jumps in. Have not seen her yet. We missed Della for a little while now since we moved over to YouTube. Have not seen her really in the live anymore. And a few others that say that they catch me and catch us on here, but they don't say anything. So there's that. So the ones in the shadows, you know who you are. And then Vesper, you said wasn't going to be joining us this week.
She said she didn't think she'd be able to.
Okay. I did even though it probably threw him off because he just wrote it down. He caught last week's for the first time. Jim, who's on this channel, he's going to mark it down as a calendar reminder thing, and then probably threw it off because this was a Saturday instead. Zach was more ready for it to be because he was busier yesterday, so he was one of the first ones I figured I'd pop in today. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into. Let's save the face vest for the secondary aspect, just kind of how it is written in the description. So, ups and downs of this week. So starting on Monday. So as those who followed us enough or are friends with Sasha know that she had a boo-boo, big one, pretty big one, on her foot versus lawnmower incident. That vlog also on the Alternative Image channel, that was a couple vlogs ago. It's fairly recent, so that will give you the story and recap. So now updates, real time updates.
Your discretion advised on that.
Yeah, and it's on the video too. Yeah, it shows her foot. It's graphic. You can't.
Well, it also has other things on there
uh,
that are graphic.
Just a hospital setting, you can imagine.
In my defense, I was high as hell on painkillers.
So a real-time update then. So she still has not been able to return to work, of course, due to the injury to the foot. It's going to take some time. Time that she's growing increasingly impatient with. As she discovered yesterday, trying to deal with that damn wheelchair at the stadium. She's like, I'm so God when I'm over this shit. She said,
As
So
if I don't bitch about that enough, I made sure to say it plenty of times yesterday.
right. So so she filled out the disability, and took a while for that to process, and then they did end up apparently back paying, which was great. That was good because that was my thing. I was kind of anal about. I was asking questions. I was just like, so that first half a week or so that wasn't included in that time frame of when it started, from what we understood from what she told me. I was like, are they doing something about that? And they ended up doing that, even though no one got back to her. The communication during this whole thing, let me say, has been crap.
Yeah.
They don't get back to her. They don't, um, it's just the way the system seems to be. I've heard it before with other people too. We're dealing with insurance, billing, hospitals, whatever it is. It just seems like you have to be on their case. You have to spend time doing that. Otherwise, they will just kind of like the roofing people here. Just forget about you. Never show up. Never do anything. Oh, hey, Emo Bro in the chat. There you are.
Hey, Zach.
So funny watching Creatures of the Night in the daylight. Yes. Yeah. And it would have been daylight even if we started at normal time, but not for much longer. As you know, we are approaching the longest day of the year, I believe, on the 21st of the summer solstice time frame coming up. And then we start going back downhill, and well, for Zach and I and Creatures of the Night, that means going uphill then again, because we like the darker, cooler weather. So that just means once we get through that June time frame, then things start to look on the cooler front. We're that much closer to fall.
For the record, I'm on that list too.
Well, that's why I said us, and just kind of in general, but so yeah, just getting through the summer months here. But yeah, no, I'm glad that you caught us today. We're starting a little earlier, just kind of get this out of the way because we were both like available. We got ready, and we just would have been sitting around twiddling our thumbs waiting for the later. So we just decided to go live now. And then we had a couple gaming buddies that could only game not so late. So, and we still want to relax. We still have that jet lag, concert lag, whatever you're gonna do from travel time, and us sleeping in till like noon, 1 o'clock today, catching up because we didn't get home till 6:15. So the light was already starting and the birds were chirping when we got back. So it just kind of throws you all off. Like I was saying, Zach, it kind of reminds me of a paranormal hangover when you do an overnight investigation and you don't get home until 5, 6, 7 and get to bed, 6, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and it just kind of throws your whole day off. Can't wait. The sun needs to die earlier. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, we did get a nice welcome home from Illinois with a strawberry sun this morning.
Oh yeah, she saw that big fireball, kind of cool looking thing.
It's always pretty.
So anyway, dealing with about that stuff. Those of you who've had medical bills or had to deal with insurance or anything, you can relate. So from here, I'll let her take over. So I kind of set down the foundation of filing for the disability and then finally obtaining the disability. So you'd think, oh, good, some relief, right? Well, yes and no. She'll go into it. So start.
Speaking of, we didn't check the mail to see what that flight one would cost.
Oh, well.
All right.
Other things going on.
Yeah. So Monday I got my check from disability finally, and it was a decent amount. So I was all excited. I'm like, yes, we can go to Walmart, we can cash this. Never had an issue at Walmart cashing a check, so didn't think anything of it. Didn't think twice. I can't put it in a bank account because my social and all that stuff I left in my storage unit in Indiana when I moved here. Don't know how that happened. I swear to God I put it in my car, but apparently I didn't. Luckily I knew exactly where it was, so my friend was able to, because he has a key to get in there, he was able to get in there and try and get them sent to me. And that's part of the fun stuff that happened. So we go to Walmart and they denied my check. Prints off a little receipt, and as a team lead for Walmart at one point, I knew that there's nothing the cashier can do about it. They can't overwrite it. If it prints that off, you're just fucked. So call the number, and it doesn't really give me a reason why. It just says that we decided not to cash it. I could read the disclaimer, but it doesn't make sense to me. Didn't make sense to him. So it was just, it felt like a generic, yeah, we don't feel like helping you out kind of thing. So I was like, fuck, okay, I don't know what to do now. I don't have anywhere around here that can do that. So he said something about he's seen Hy-Vee has a Money Center kind of thing as well, so we pop over there. Money Center's closed. Alright, so we decided we would have to put it on hold. Kind of a wasted trip to town because we were able to pick up a couple things we needed, but I wasn't able to get shit because I had negative $30-something in my account.
Keep in mind, I think this was on Tuesday.
No, this was on Monday.
Oh, that was on Monday.
That
So we
was on
took a
Monday.
break day. I thought they were back-to-back days.
Hold on.
Okay, I couldn't remember. My days
Then-
this week.
Then Tuesday comes along, and I'm like trying to look up different ways to be able to cash my check. And I called Mutual of Omaha, which is where my short-term disability's through, and they said the only other way they knew of besides like going to a check cashing place would be physically going to the bank that issued it, which is First National Bank of Omaha or something like that. Well, the closest one is in Chicago. That's 3.5 hours away. If I was gonna drive
DeKalb, I thought you said.
no,
Oh, what was in
It
DeKalb? Was that the next nearest? No, it wasn't checking to cash because that's Illinois doesn't do that. We'll get into that in a second. But there's something you mentioned about DeKalb. Because you're like, where the hell's DeKalb? And I'm like, oh. And you looked it up, and that was about 3 hours away.
I don't know. It was right outside.
Yeah,
of
I
Chicago,
think the
so it
Mutual
might
of
have been.
Omaha. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I'm remembering it. It's okay. It's been a week.
Yes.
The nearest branch for that Omaha thing, whatever she said.
The bank.
It was in DeKalb, Illinois. For us, that's a very big inconvenience because that would have been, again, about a 3-hour drive. You might as well have gone. I mean, it's closer
might
to
as well have
Chicago
gone back to
than it
Indiana
is to here.
Gotten my stuff myself at that point.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
So I'm like, all right. I talked to my friend Nick. He hadn't been able to send out, or he tried sending out my documents in a express envelope thing. When you take it to the post box or post office, it costs $10.70 to send that thing. He put 3 stamps on it and tried sending it out. 3 stamps wasn't enough postage. He needed like 11 stamps because if I remember right, they're like $1 per stamp. I could be wrong on that, but I really don't care. But because of his work schedule, he couldn't get to a post office to be able to send it to me because his only days off are on Sunday and the post office is closed. And he literally works open and close at his job because he's a mechanic. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get a hold of my sister, see if she can't, like, he could drop off the documents to her so she could send them out to me. She said that was fine, but she was out of town until Thursday evening, so she wouldn't be able to send them out. I'm like, all right, I gotta find another way to cash this check because I can't open a bank account unless I have my social security card to be able to open it. They kind of require that. So Tuesday I looked up, found out there's a checking to cash that's in Macomb. I'm like, okay, great. I called Mutual of Omaha. They said they haven't had any issues with checking to cash, that there's a number on the check, and that they close at 5:30 Central Time in case I need verification. Like, if they have to call for any reason to verify my check, that it's a valid check, that there's no holds or anything on it, to have them call. I'm like, okay, cool. So I let him know we make another trip out to town. And it takes us, like, this back way around the building. And then we pull up to the building, and there's a police sign in it. And I'm flipping shit. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it said that it was open on the site. Like, it wasn't actual checking the cash site. It was on Google, for Google Maps. It set it for my, Apple Maps, which I got that fixed. I got the confirmation for that already.
And with that, I don't know. I've ran into this before. I don't think Google is in real time updates with stuff. I think that's up to the
Business owner.
Yeah, to let them know. So if anyone has fault here, it might not be Google unless they got the notification and they just didn't update their
Or
information.
people like me who, when you go there and you see that a store is permanently closed, you report a problem, and then you report that they're permanently closed, which they updated that. I got the confirmation for that earlier today, is that they did update that because I didn't want anybody else having to run into that issue.
Right, or it's like I said, or checking the cash actually dropped the ball and did not update that their status if Illinois was closed. But yeah, no, and I agree with what Zach said there. That would have been normally what I do, but it's not my thing. But it was, you can't trust the internet. I would call them to see if they are really open, which she ended up doing, but it didn't serve a purpose at that point because we were already in town. She called it literally as we were driving around. She called it, and it just, this number is no longer in service. Blah 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 blah.
Well, and there's a reason why there is no checking of cash there. Illinois passed a state law not too long ago, I want to say it said last year, that puts a cap on how much they can charge for doing their loans and checks, because checking and cash doesn't just cash checks, they do paycheck advances and loans and stuff like that. Well, apparently the state law that Illinois passed made it next to impossible for checking and cash to continue business in Illinois. So they shut them all down. The next closest one was, what, Birmingham?
Burlington. Not Birmingham. No, she didn't go to Alabama. Don't get confused with that. She didn't go down there. It's Burlington, which is an hour and 10 minutes from us.
Hey, there is a Shelbyville, Indiana, and a Shelbyville, Illinois, so, or Missouri, or wherever the hell it was. But my point is, there's multiple of the same cities.
You said two different cities, silly goose.
I didn't say Burlington.
You said Birmingham.
I didn't say Birmingham,
it's
Alabama.
Okay. It's okay.
I just said Birmingham. Anyways.
It's been a week. Continue.
Yes. And I didn't take my meds this morning because reason why is because it was already noon and I didn't want to be up until 5 o'clock in the morning again. So
it's kind of funny and cute in the moment when you catch her in these little
moments?
these little moments, and it's like, what? Because it's some of it's just completely like, wow, what did you just say? All right, go ahead.
You guys get to see when I'm not on my meds for my Adderall, my brain is not all there, and then some. And he can always, for the most part, be like, I wondered if you took your meds, and there's times where I have taken my meds, and he still wonders.
Yeah.
So.
Meanwhile, here before we continue, Emo Bro Zach says pawn shops are being attacked now in the law, so I'm happy I got my computers out before too long. Yeah. It came up in conversation briefly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they don't cash checks. I did look that up too, because I knew that you had gone to a pawn shop that was around here, and I was
to do a loan, which because of you, Zach. That's the first I heard of that. I thought about pawn shops as being a place where you just go and you get a discounted amount, but you sell crap, and I didn't know that they held on to things as like collateral and gave you a loan in return. But she knew that I didn't.
I used to watch a show called Hardcore Pawn.
Well,
not hardcore porn.
Zach probably heard of the either.
Hardcore Pawn. It was a TV show that it's a family that owns a pawn shop. It's hilarious to watch, but that was part of the reason why I knew that they were able to do like the loan thing for your stuff. But anyways, so by the time we got there, found out they were closed. Heidi's was still open, so we went over there, waited in line forever because there was an issue with their machine with the people in front of us. It was taking forever to print off whatever the hell I think it was a money order. And we get up there, and I ask them about cash my check. And they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. We only cash employee checks."
Sorry you waited in line for us just to tell you that.
Like, I had the check in my hand.
So at that point, she just goes all quiet now. She's like, okay, we're good, and she's so
done.
pissed.
Like, and when I get pissed, I cry.
Yeah, see?
Like, so I was pissed off. I was super frustrated because I don't know how to cash this check. I don't have my documents to be able to open a bank account. I can't do it at Walmart. Can't do it at Heidi. There's no checking to cashes in the state.
And on top of it, she doesn't have I call it an adult bank account. Like an actual bank that will allow you to mobile deposit, to set up Zelle, to do all the stuff that I guess
Zelle's
Zach,
still not working,
Zach,
by the way.
you and I, that we take for granted because we have actual bank accounts like adults do. She didn't. She has a story behind that.
I have Chime.
She has Chime.
I like Chime.
I never heard of Chime
issues
before
with Chime. It helps
her.
with my credit building. The only thing I've had issues with is doing a mobile check deposit. But there's no place for me to be able to do a check in there unless I do it through a mobile check deposit. I haven't tried to do that in about a year and a half, but I didn't want to risk having issues or it taking 10-15 days to cash this check. I needed it because I had a $20 bill on me that I was keeping for the concert. And I did not want to spend it because I wanted to make sure I could help contribute for gas. And if we found something like we got waters yesterday, that alone cost what, $7?
Yeah. And she did finally, with this first check, have a Emo Mansion contribution out of it, Zach. So
Yes.
I know that was a good thing too.
Yes, but you're getting ahead of the story.
Oh, go ahead.
So like I'm frustrated. We're in the car. I'm in tears. Like I'm sitting there silently crying, and he knows I'm crying, and he's trying to be comforting at the same time, and just like. I was just so frustrated. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. I was just like trying to get a grip on myself. Because at the same time, my daughter is texting me asking me if she could call me. And I'm just like, all right, kid, we're on our way home. I will call you as soon as we get there. Just give us a few more minutes. And like I needed to get a grip on reality at that point because like I didn't want my kids hearing me in tears. They've heard that enough over the past 2 years. So, well, since long story.
That's another story. Check other
live
live streams.
Yeah, check out last week. You'll kind of understand. So we get to the house. I'm still pretty upset. He's able to tell I'm upset. Like, just the mood in the house was not as happy as it normally is. And I was able to talk to my daughter. Kind of cheered me up a little bit. I was feeling a little bit better. We ended up watching, I think it was My Name is Earl that night, and eating some food. And so we went to bed in better moods than what we came home with. But then the next day, because I was like, okay, set myself a game plan. Call all these banks, see if there's anywhere that would cash it without having to be a member. Because from what I looked up online, it said any bank that is a FDIC bank has the option to be able to do that. I guess they just don't like to because of an increased risk if the check is fraudulent or something along those lines. A lot of them won't do it. So I got up in the morning. I called like 7-8 banks. I lost track of how many. And none of them could do it. And I said, all right, fuck this. I'm just going to go ahead and go into check and cash. In Burlington. An hour and... Phew.
Oh, emo blesses.
Thank you. An hour and 20-minute drive from the house. And I'm not supposed to be driving like that. I am not supposed to drive more than like 20 minutes away. Hey Jay.
Oh, hey Jay. Yeah, I just sent him. That's who I was messaging.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not supposed to make that drive. So nobody tell Dr. Chris Mander. If you see him,
you
don't
give him
mention
his
it.
name out. Suddenly he pops into the chat and he's
That'd
like,
be great.
I know something you did.
Well, hey, maybe if he knows how well I did with that, then I can go back to work earlier.
He's a surgeon doctor. He's not just a doctor, but he's actually the lead guy who worked on her foot.
He saved my foot. But, anyways, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to make this drive, but first I'm going to go ahead and dye my hair because I needed to see, after I cashed this check, if I needed to buy more hair dye for the concert for yesterday. Well, that in itself was a long-ass process. A lot longer than I was expecting. Because I had to bleach it first. And then I had to go back, wash that out, blow dry it, so that I could dye it. Now, mind you, when you normally get a bottle of hair dye, it's a decent-sized bottle. No, because these ones are technically, with the bleaching kit and everything, to keep it at the same price, they give you a bottle about half the size. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I just bleached my hair, And I highly doubt this shit's gonna cover my hair. Luckily, I was able to get it all on my hair, which in itself was a miracle. There's certain spots that are lighter than others, but it's not blonde, and it's not the ugly ass copper color that it was, or green. So I was pretty happy with the results, and didn't end up buying another box, and I'll do that probably when we're going to town tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
let me read. So Zach says, "Emo mom, I imagine, but they still love you." Heart, heart.
Yep.
And then Jay says, "Yo," and Jay also says, "My bad that I can't jump on, bro. Just don't want to wake anyone up." So he's out for the gaming tonight.
Oh.
It's too bad. We tried to start this earlier, even. That's part of why I was inspired by you to start a little bit earlier to try to catch you later. Failed, still, but that's okay. We'll try to catch you.
We'll forgive you.
I don't know. Tomorrow. I know for you, just the world, time zones suck. I'll have to see what's up. If we get our fannies and gear tomorrow, and we do our shit out of the way early enough, maybe we can try to jump on, around that time frame that I did the streaming of Gray Hill Incident. About 3 in the afternoon here, which will be about 9 o'clock your time. Maybe we can squeeze in something tomorrow. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see and play it by ear. Or just check in, maybe? Question mark? Sound good? Emo Bro Zach says the world is getting more and more cashless, sadly. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of wrap that up. So it was a couple wasted trips to town where nothing happened. That we had to go to try to cash that check of hers. And she didn't have a system of mobile deposit necessarily to have it done successfully in a time frame that we wanted. It was just a pain. And so it led her finally opening up a bank account, which I don't know if that's...
Let me tell my story.
Okay, you're going to get to that next... Okay,
yes.
Next chapter is the resolution and new bank account. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, next chapter. Go ahead.
You're grounded. No, okay, so I drove up to Iowa. I was able to cash my check.
Oh, and we got Crispito, Zach.
Shut up! You're grounded!
Spoiler!
You suck.
Go ahead.
Went to Iowa. I was able to cash it. It cost me 10% of my fucking check, which was almost $100. But I was able to cash it. So I had the cash in hand. I had to I had my own bills and shit that I needed to pay. So the next day I went to Walmart because by the time I got back that night, I was just done for the night. And yes, I went to Fairway specifically to get Crispitos to reward us for the shitty ass week.
It was a self-reward, a mission, additional objective to the mission since she had to cross state lines to Iowa, which, sorry, I grew up there. I left it for a reason. So it's kind of sad that we had, one of us had to go back there for this. But
on the bright side, we got Crispitos.
Yes, go ahead.
And we enjoyed those that night.
Yes, we did.
So the next day I had to go to Walmart because I knew I could at least load my card. That I knew. They can't just sit there and be like, oh, we don't take this card, because I had already verified with them when I went to go cash a check that they were able to use that card. So I go, and just for shits and giggles, I asked the lady that is at the bank account that's in the Walmart, hey, by the way, do you guys cash checks that aren't for non-members? And they said no, you would have to have an account. And so I kind of explained to her that my social is still in Indiana. I'm waiting for it to get sent, but I know that I need that to set up a bank account. She goes, as long as you know your social, we don't need your physical social security card.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, so wait, is there a monthly fee for having to have an account? And she's like, no.
That would have been.
Can we get that set up
yeah,
right now?
Because I would have been like, exactly. I'd been like, okay, what's the catch? Because she had called around, even the local bank here in Vermont, they needed, the physical, tangible hard copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, she's waiting on that. I guess her sister's working on it. It's just a gradual. Maybe we'll get it before the end of 2023. Maybe we won't. But
But that's why I had Nick give it to Miranda, because at least Miranda,
so
I know, will make sure it gets
So that's
out.
why she had pictures of it, because Nick, bless his heart, he just didn't do it correctly, but he sent her pictures initially of her documents, and thankfully she found a bank that would work with that. So go ahead.
Well, no, they didn't even require that. They didn't need the pictures.
Jeez.
Yeah, that even better, right? As long as I had my social security card memorized and I knew my number, which with how old I am, I better have that fucking memorized. I may not have my kids' memorized like I probably should, but I have mine.
You would think that would work anyway in most cases, because it's the number that's linked to the person. It's not necessarily the piece of paper that it's on.
It's proof of identification.
Well, I know, but it's... Anyway, go ahead.
But, so as I'm getting this all set up, I'm explaining to them that I had just gone to check into cash, that I drove that distance, and how much they cost. And these women are flabbergasted that it cost me that much to cash my check. She goes, well, we're going to get you taken care of. We're going to get you all set up. You won't have to worry about that anymore. And as long as I have direct deposit in there, it's a free account. Well, here's the thing, is that since I'm not getting a paycheck, I'm not getting direct deposit. I'm like, but I should be able to have my short-term disability do direct deposit into my account. She goes, that works. As long as something is. It doesn't matter. That'll work. I'm like, all right, bet. I've still got to do that. Don't let me forget. I got to call them tomorrow. Or, no, I got to call them on Monday because it's the weekend. I can't.
Alright, I'll just remind you to call them for some reason.
To set up direct deposit.
Direct deposit, okay, I'll try to. Cha-ching! I'm trying to remember. Alright, go ahead.
His memory is better than mine most days.
It is most days, but yeah.
But anyways, so I'm getting it all set up. I'm telling them the whole spiel of everything that happened. They're just like in awe. So we get it all set up, but because of my ex overdrafting my old bank account, word to the wise, don't ever get a bank account with anybody. I don't give a fuck if you're married to them, if
I
you're
don't
dating them.
joint
nothing.
anything.
Nothing.
I think honestly,
I learned my lesson. That's why I didn't want to do it in the first place.
the only good joint belongs in your lips, and you inhale and you feel the good vibes. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was against doing it from the beginning, and I ended up giving in, and I wish I never did. But, you know, lesson learned. But, so they couldn't put me, they put me on what's called a second chance bank account. It cost me $9.99 a month, and the $15 setup fee with the debit card, all that bullshit. But as long as I paid that bank back, because I would need to be on that for a year, so a year, so 12 times 10, so $120 then, actually that'd be cheaper to do it that way, but still.
Is there like a probation period?
Yeah, but I mean, it would be cheaper to do it that way, but I'd rather just pay off the bank so that I'm not having to have that go to collections too, because my medical bills will be enough.
Oh yes, we started getting those.
We'll get into that here very shortly. So, as long as I pay that off, whatever fees that I paid in, like the monthly fees, they'll refund back to me. So whatever I put in, like this $9.99 I just did, next month if I still $9.99, they'll refund that back to me. I have 3 months to pay it off, which it's under $200, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just something that I hadn't been able to do because of how much I was driving. That's a non-issue at the moment. So, anyways, got it all set up. I have a bank account, but the catch was that my debit card I couldn't activate until 7 o'clock the next morning, which would be on Friday. Well, Thursday night we were going to go to the store to get stuff that we needed before the concerts. Can't really do that when we're leaving super early Friday morning. So, I'm like, okay, need to make sure to keep out the money I'm giving him for the emo mansion for my portion of rentage and stuff, and then a little bit back for myself so I can get actual munchie food and stuff for the trip, because I didn't want to spend all my money on the gas stations. And so I sent him a voice audio clip explaining that to him, that I'm keeping out the money to give to him, that I'll put it on my Chime card and I'll use Venmo to send it to him. And I guess I didn't clarify that exactly how I was doing that. All he heard was that I couldn't get access to my money the next morning. So he calls me while I'm trying to finish getting this account set up. So I had to clarify with him that no, you're going to have your money today. I promise you, you'll have your money today.
So we can still go Thursday to get some stuff.
Yeah.
She just didn't have access to her bank money account
Yeah, so
really yet, so that's part of why tomorrow's trip to town for some other stuff she needs. And I wouldn't mind getting a few things for the reptiles.
And hopefully my check's in the mail and then I can cash that too.
Well, that too, yeah. The next one?
Yeah.
Yes. So, no, when he said adult bank account, it almost reminds me of like it's where your payments for doing your adult job. Reminds me of like a porno kind of payment kind of bank account kind of thing. So that's what it reminds me. When you worded it that way, I'm not like when I say it's like adult as in it just seems it comes just natural to me because it's like my parents had one, my grandparents had one. Everyone else I know has a regular bank account. You can mobile deposit. They issue checks. You can do the Zelle transfer. I mean, no issues. Really.
I used to until I had an ex that decided to fuck up my stuff.
So this is why she's an anomaly in the system because of her ex. So that's why. So that made sense to me, but I was want to make sure the viewers understood why you didn't have an adult bank account to begin with.
Trying to still, hey, it builds my credit. It's still an adult bank account. It's just not a national.
Because rumors can get spread. There could be conspiracy theorists watching, and you never know. They might think you're trying to live off the grid somehow, or you're trying.
I wish.
Who knows? Let me catch up here. Tomorrow should work, but time zone, time zone Zach or suck, says Jay, and then Zach says emo tacos always improves emo's feelings. Yes. And then Jay says some kind of ghetto bank. LOL. And Zach says haha Trevid humor. Oh yeah, the joint thing. Yep. Okay, next phase. Part. Not a phase. Oh, over here. We'll get to that in the next section. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm done.
Pretty much it? Okay.
That's besides a little bit of custody issues with my kids' dad being an ass.
Yeah.
That just, oh, yeah, I forgot. There is one other thing.
Oh, boy.
So on top of that, and on top of my kid's dad being an ass, Wednesday night I checked my messages because since I have two Facebooks, I for some reason don't get notifications if I get a message on my original Facebook. I got a message on there from the friend of mine who had been taking care of my dog Rogue. He had blown out his knee a week or two ago, and he wasn't going to be able to take care of her any longer. Well, I put a post out about if anybody was able to help, and I got the same spiel I did last time, which is people saying go here for fostering situations. Problem with fostering is that there's a high chance I would never get her back. So I didn't want to go that route. Well, when I opened my messages, he told me he found a solution, but it would have to be a permanent solution. So he needed to know by the end of that day, otherwise he would have to do what he's got to do. Now, mind you, that was Tuesday morning, and it was Wednesday night when I was checking my messages. So my dog is gone.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
And it broke my heart. And I haven't told my kids yet. They're on their way to Florida with their dad and his girlfriend and their other 4 kids. Well, her 4 kids and my 2 kids.
A real life Brady Bunch there.
So 40-hour drive with 6 little girls.
Oh Lord.
So best of luck to him not to go crazy.
I'd rather take that drive with 6 baby tortoises.
I'm sure because they would be
They'd be
noisy.
Cute and less noisy, and I pull over and I could feed in their greens at the gas station. They're cheaper. I just pull,
Not having to stop 5 minutes or every 5 minutes
Exactly.
because one went pee but the other ones didn't.
And I don't have to worry about little baby Bonnies, but name of one of my tortoises, by the way, for those who don't know, sitting in the back, be like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Or that kind of cliche.
Did I tell you the best part is the youngest isn't even 2 yet?
Oh.
Yeah.
Not for me, but that more power to you. Go ahead.
But so yeah, Rogue is gone, and since it's a permanent solution, I'm not getting her back.
Yeah.
So I've got to let my kids know, but I wanted them to be able to enjoy their vacation.
And they don't watch this. Those of you who wonder, won't they find out now?
No, their dad doesn't let them on YouTube like that, and doesn't let them watch this because I've already warned them that it can be graphic sometimes. So
Yeah, this live stream is not for.
It is not PG in any way, shape, or form.
Not for children that young. I could argue maybe a like PG-13 rating where you might have a 13, 14, 15-year-old high school kid watching. That's okay. But yeah, otherwise, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone under 13. Go ahead.
But yeah, so as if it wasn't a hard enough week because of the whole check thing and my kid's dad thing, and now this. Now, mind you, their dad's getting them a different dog, or a new dog named Pepper, and I'm sitting here flipping shit in my head, like, why the fuck couldn't you take Rogue then? You knew that I needed to find a place for her. And my oldest, before I found out that, she was actually gone, was telling me that she would go over there every day to help out with Rogue. She'd have her dad take her over to my friend's house to take care of Rogue and all this stuff. That's how badly my daughter wanted to keep this dog. My daughter doesn't like to go and do shit. She didn't even want to wash dishes for 50 cents a dish to earn money for the rabbit that she was insisting should be her pet. So it's going to break their hearts, and it's just going to suck all the way around. So, yeah, that was my shitty week. So the concert yesterday was much needed now.
So most of
I passed the baton back to you.
Ups and downs. Most of that was the downs. Just getting a check, but not being able. It's just teasing you, dangling the money in front of you, and not being able to use it.
For 3 fucking days.
Yes. So.
And then feeling bad because I wasted his time too, taking me up there to town.
Well,
Waste of gas, waste of time.
Jay says no way to your face. No way. So he now wants a dog, but could not take the dog. Wow, I'm sorry, but what? WTF? A few questions I've asked about this too. She knows.
My kid's dad is. We'll put it this way: it's a special case, and Jay, if we do game tomorrow, I'll explain a little further. That is not something I want to put out.
Apparently functions differently than us, and No, let me see here. I'm so sorry that happened. Dog, yes. Well, yeah. So the much needed, because again, her injury almost put us, I put it up in the air. I was like, okay, am I gonna have to buy her ticket off of her to take somebody else last minute? Because of a lawnmower versus foot incident.
That wasn't happening?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a very sad day. A different kind of a sadness than losing a dog, but it'd still be a sad day nonetheless. So she wanted to go, looking forward to it. Bought the ticket already. VIP, by the way. We got these special things. So we got to wear these. So we had endless credentials to really go up and down. The only thing it really stopped us from, which is kind of an inside joke, but they had a little stairway going up the stage that they ended up removing the railing from before the last 2 bands played, and it's kind of one of those things like, so everywhere else we could go, just basically no one, uninvited to go up on the stage. These wouldn't even be good enough for that, which that makes sense,
Unless the ramp was on the VIP side, which we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So yeah, that would have been sad if she couldn't go at all. But I was thinking that was a real possibility.
My depression would have fucking tanked if I wasn't able to go.
And I don't know, not much I could have done. It's one of those fucking things.
Yeah.
But it would have been for the greater good because her foot getting better is more important. So I would have not batted an eye. Yeah, I would have been bummed, but I would not have batted an eye if it came to it. And she's like, I'm not feeling it's good here. The doctor wouldn't want me to go either, and I'm not feeling up to it. I'd be like, okay. I mean, I wouldn't argue with her. I'd be like, that's probably what's best then for you. The downside, though, would be trying to find somebody last minute to go because it would be a wasted ticket. But it's not beneath me to go by myself. But the problem is, this being just under 5 hours away, I mean, I would have had to probably pull over to get some sleep somewhere if I drove myself. Even the the little that you did drive. Because we were originally going to split it like 50-50 in both directions. But then this happened, and so it didn't happen that way. But it's not beneath me to go to a concert by myself. I've done that numerous times. Some people, they can't go to concerts by themselves. And I was talking to another one of my concert buddies too, that she's also in the same boat. So Sasha's not alone, to be fair, to her defense. There's some people that just can't. It's too much out of their comfort zone.
Now, let me explain real quick that regardless of the condition of my foot, the only thing that would have stopped me going from that concert was him. Because I wouldn't have stopped myself.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's a little stubborn.
Just a little?
A bit. Quite a bit. She wouldn't even wait for me to go back. When the night this happened, she wouldn't even wait for me to come back with the wagon. Because originally I was going to put her in the wagon and wheel her to the car to take her to the hospital. Because my mind was thinking, let's save an ambulance bill. At least I can take you there myself in my own car. She was already like halfway dragging herself and her lifeless and limp leg. I don't know, several yards already by the time I came back with the wagon. I'm like, what are you doing here? You were all the way over there when I left you. That's how stubborn she is.
I didn't think the wagon would feel very good to have my foot.
Well, you crawling with unknown injuries is probably not a great idea.
It was wrapped up.
Uh-huh. I didn't actually, it wasn't, I mean, I did the greatest I could. It was first aid kit stuff that I did, but it was good. It's better than nothing. I think that contributed to her better survival of her foot, to be honest, and that's what I'm hearing.
Yes. He poured...
I don't know.
He poured disinfectant stuff in it, and then we wrapped it with gauze, and then had a Walmart bag over it, which I used as a tourniquet.
Yeah, and to keep the blood out of the car, too.
Yeah. That was his thought process.
That was my thought process.
Like, okay, I should tie this because it feels better when there's pressure on it. So I went ahead and made a tourniquet out of it.
Yeah, I was like, we can have an injury, you know, things happen, but we can also have a clean, tidy injury and not have blood all over the place and make it look like the Valentine's Day Massacre
you were
by Al Capone.
actually impressed on how little I did have blood all over. Like,
I know, I was.
Grass.
I'm like, wow, how did she withhold her blood?
Though I did make
impressive.
the joke, I have quite literally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this place.
In the short amount of time that she's known of this place.
I've officially become part of the emo mansion.
If that's the hazing ritual, then geez, don't scare Zach away. He's like, what's gonna? Don't throw that out there.
Zach's already a member.
Well, I know, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Let me catch up here real quick. Let's see here. Bro, about the place you went when I seen the pics, I was like, wow, you two were the only emos there, XD. Somebody else commented on that too. Like, I mean, emo's an interior. I mean, it's internal. The exterior is a different thing. I strongly believe in that because there's some people I've met that could be argued as them being posers. And I don't, being an elder emo, I still don't like to hold the title of a gatekeeper. Who am I to say? You know what I mean? It's in here. But being an emo is so much more in depth than just what you wear.
Not everybody is brave enough to wear it on the outside too.
Right, and unfortunately, a lot of elder emos, you know, the younger and the teenage version of themselves. You know, life happens. They now have kids too. They have, you know, things happen. Kids
are an excuse.
I've known several. Well, I wouldn't think so, but some, you know, that's just me. I would think that you'd still hold on to your trip pants, that you'd still hold on to stuff. But there's so many people that when they get older, life happens for some reason.
I was gonna say life
they
happens
do
because my
away.
trip pants are gone.
Right. Well, yeah.
My Vans, my cousin stole.
They do away with their stuff.
My one band shirt that I did have was from Warped Tour, and it had signatures and everything on it.
Why didn't you keep that?
It's not that I didn't keep it. I don't know where it went.
Oh, so I would not lose that.
I left 90% of my stuff at my cousin's house when I moved to Pennsylvania. I don't know what the fuck she did with it.
This isn't alcohol, but I need a drink. My alcohol's already gone. Oh.
No, I haven't started because I didn't have anything in my system, and
That's-
I didn't need a repeat of last
That's
week.
just
where
depressing.
I
You
gave
left a
us all
work tour. You don't know where it is. Oh.
I don't. I have no idea. I can text Cheryl and see if she still has it.
I hope it's relocated because
It would be fantastic.
that
if it
hurts.
was.
That makes me sad.
Dyer and Gray
That
had
makes
signed
me-
it.
I'm emo tearing right now. That's sad.
Flyleaf signed it.
That's very
I
sad.
had so many fucking fancy on it. It was awesome.
I'm hurting.
Anyways, I'm not a t-shirt girl. Okay, I don't like wearing t-shirts. That is the one and only one that I bought. That was the base or the only big concert that I went to as a teenager because my mom was really strict. The only reason I went was because a friend from high school had an extra ticket, and her parents said that she could have a friend go. I happened to be that friend, so I got lucky to even be able to go to it.
That's. Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, there's plenty of people who have never been to Warped Tour. At
True.
least I got to go.
It's very true. Sadly.
And they actually mentioned that at the concert.
No. Let me catch up here. See here. The pics made it look like that. LOL. So yeah, going back to that. Yeah, somebody else
Once
had
we
commented on
post
that
the
too.
blog, you'll get to see more of it because there are quite a few
Yeah.
other people
Quite
that
a-
actually.
Well, and
Butt
quite a
cheeks.
few that complimented us
Oh,
too
yeah.
because of my style, my fat, the way what I was wearing, as you've seen in the pictures, as you could tell from what you're saying. I know you saw it. There's several.
And even with me sitting in the wheelchair, I got complimented on my hair and what I was
Yes.
wearing and everything else. It was great.
That's why we were proof that it was not a phase. I'm still dressed that way. It's like I do kind of wish, as people sadly mentioned, but I'm glad it was not just me. It's validation to me, actually, that I wish that others had still dressed the way that they might have dressed in 2007. I do wish that. I wish there was more. We seen somebody there with a cowboy hat on that was like, oh, that's, interesting.
There was another one that lit
I was
up
like,
too.
this isn't a country concert, is it? But it's that's just me. It's just different. But in terms of the typical early 2000s emo kid stuff, yeah, I was disappointed a little bit about the turnout of those that actually went through the whole dress the part, and because this is a little bit, because it was mentioned several times about Warped Tour. It was mentioned there on stage by the artist and one of the announcer people. So Warped Tour has long been gone now by a few years. I think 2018 was the last one, if I remember right. Sad, yes, sad. And we're hoping, and I mentioned I did a shout out in the vlog. I was like calling out to Kevin Kevin Lineman is the Warped Tour is like his whole thing. He led it and directed it and everything. We're like, okay, the Roaring 20s, are back. Why don't bring Warped back? That would be awesome. So
They
I'm
were
throwing
talking
that out
about-
there.
They were talking about making Not a Face the new Warped Tour.
Yes, and it did feel
And it-
very warpy.
Wasn't this the first time they did Not a Face?
Yes, so we
So
could
we
say
would've
we
been-
went to the first one,
We went to the very first one. That would be fucking epic.
and I
And
intend
then we would have to
to.
make it an annual.
Right,
trip.
when we know the next dates and stuff, because clearly this one just wrapped up. They're gonna have time. They have to, when we know of the next date, the Not a Phase Fest, aka possible Warped 2.0, will be 2024 date. We will be on that. So, because it was great, and it just started out, but it would be amazing. Could you think of the nostalgia of that? Being like, we were at the first one when there was only 6. Was there 6 bands?
Yeah.
Yeah, and All American Rejects, which again I grew up on way back, and it was my first time seeing them, and hers too.
It was my first time seeing every single band that was on.
Oh yeah, because I've seen it. Yeah, I've been a second timer for some, but no, All American Rejects definitely was a big one to me. It was the first time I seen them live. So to think that if it grows into something big like a Warped status someday, where 20-some bands, 30-some bands, multi-day festival, and it grows into that, we could look back and be like, we have merch, we have VIP, we were at the first one.
And since I'm not a t-shirt girl, mine is a tank top.
Right.
Sadly, it doesn't have the bands listed on the
Yeah,
back like his shirt does.
Mine does.
Hold on, my
Oops.
foot. You're good. You're
Make
good.
sure. I'm just spinning it around like this.
Yeah,
See?
but my phone was like right against the thing. That's why.
Can you see that? Yeah.
There you go.
See?
All right, you're good.
Alright. So yeah, I'm a fan of having the bands listed on the back and the dates and stuff. That's what I
But
went
I
to
wasn't-
when I did Trinity of Terror tour, for example, which that vlog again, shameless plug. It's on this channel too. The Trinity of Tour or Trinity of Terror date, that one, they sold out fast. The ones that had the list and the dates of the stuff like that. So I did see one Black Veil Bride's long sleeve. I was originally going for a t-shirt.
So when
But
you find that missing,
ended up getting
you
it.
know who has it, right?
Yeah.
I
But-
have yet to steal any of his clothing. It's past time.
You wore
I wore your hat. You took it back within an
she
hour.
wore one of my beanies, and I let her wear it for like an hour or two, but it was still,
You took it back.
Yeah, I took it back eventually, but I did let you knowingly wear it, so that counts.
Doesn't count.
Let me catch the chat here. That's a perfect zombie scene. Oh, the blood. Yeah, yeah. We're going back to that. Yeah. I'm slowly teaching Jason what emo is, and didn't realize how big it is. It's like our version of hippies, not just like them, but different in our own way. Oh yeah, yeah, Zach. If you did, are you saying he didn't know how big it was, or you didn't know how big it was? Because the emo thing. That's why not a phase is part of the saying on there. It's a pretty big subculture, kind of coming out of the grunge punk era thing. If you go back, kind of see its originalities, it's where it comes from, kind of thing. And it predated the early 2000s, but that was just kind of when it really went big with the emo music and stuff.
And I kind of found it funny that it said at the top of the banner, it said it's not just Faye's mom.
Yeah.
The irony in that, because that I'm accepting of it, but my kids' dad is the one that thinks it's just a phase for my daughter, who's starting to see her emo side come out and stuff. I'm like, see, they needed to put dad.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. But then it's 2023, so they're gonna be arguing. It's like, well, it's not an emo. It's not a phase, mom. It's not a phase, dad. It's not a phase, non-binary.
Parental figure.
Parental unit. They, them. It's gonna get out of hand, and nobody's gonna be happy. So, let me read the next thing here. The only emo tee was a little cute. Let me see here. My only emo tee, was a little cute, is what we aim for 1XD. But I'm a natural emo, just black clothes. And then Jay says, I love the style a lot, to be honest. See, like I said, it's everywhere. It's actually pretty big in the UK and other certain areas too, I'm sure in Ireland. But yeah, you could be just across the pond emo. Like you said, even if you don't necessarily dress that way, or you just don't have the money to get, because it's not necessarily
we
cheap
visited
to
the-
dress up like us, but it's not expensive. It depends, I guess. But
I feel like if we did visit the UK, we'd step off the plane and be like, look, all our people.
Yeah.
Many. It's such a bigger
goth
thing there.
subculture is also big over there too. So I'd love to go there to fulfill both of my people. Let's see. Zach says I roared to and he meant Jason. He said Jason didn't know how big it was. Okay. I roared to Jason and he felt weird watching. LOL. I can imagine.
It's not for everybody.
Somebody who's not really exposed to this, or it's new. Yeah, I mean, you go up to him. If I went up to my grandma before she passed, R.I.P. But if I went up to her and went "rar" to her, she might be like, "What?" Again, older. Because my understanding
Mine would
is
probably
Jason
look at
is
me and go,
is
I don't
older.
like that.
Jason's older than all of us, also. So a different generation, different, and different culture. He's Asian, I think you said. So I mean, yeah. So and emo has its stretch over those areas of certain things, but you got to remember dressing this way, being unique, standing out can be
Especially-
a bad thing in some places
Yes.
of the world. So
Yes, they're very set in their traditions, and they don't vary from them very far.
yeah,
And if you do, you get disowned by the family. So it just may not end up being his thing. You can explain it to him so he understands where you come from, but don't try and push it on him, okay?
yeah, Zach. Yeah, don't like I said, just let him know he'll take it and run with it if he will. If otherwise, yeah, it's kind of like the religious thing. I guess is the best way you could maybe relate to it.
Emo is a religion now.
Don't want to have a Bible thumper coming to you and saying this and that, and half the stuff they say is wrong or what you don't believe in. Yeah, so it's the same kind of thing. It's just our thing, you know, and that's kind of what it is. Like I don't push it on anybody. Let's see here. UK is first place I want to see. Yeah, it's one. It's on my list of a few. Jay says here in Northern Ireland, it's not big to be honest. Only have one emo homie. Sadly, they got bullied a lot. So there might be a lot, but they are not opening
As open
about
it.
it. Yeah.
It's okay. We can come and change that. We'll stay for like a week.
Yeah, I would say direct any of your friends that you might think that are or whatever to this channel, and it's like, yeah, be like, you're not alone. You see, we'll open it. Just maybe Ireland's a little bit behind us in the States, even though it's a much older, at least contemporary, developed nation, I guess, if you want to say that, than the U.S., where our history really goes back to late 1700s. From the history that we're taught in a structural system, at least. And Zach says, Jason said a stranger would say they need to call the insane asylum on him if I was roaring in the wild. LOL. But yeah, so Not a Phase Fest was great. Like I said, it would be awesome bragging rights if it does end up being kind of the new Warped, if it has traction and it goes off. Because now's a good time with the When We Were Young festival, Emo's Not Dead cruise, all that stuff that's happening in this new Roaring 20s, as we call it. You know, it's definitely, I know there's a need now. A lot of us, especially elder emos now, is what we're called, to have to do that festival thing again, even if it's not worked again. But Not a Phase Fest, if that becomes the new Warped, there's definitely a market for it. I could see it taking off. It's some big stuff here. Whether it's just people reliving their childhood, their teens, or reliving the early 2000s, whatever it is, or just that music that got them through a hard time. I know several bands from that time frame, some of which played at this festival, that saved some people from harm, or self-harm, or whatever you're gonna call it. So yeah, it's emo's more than just a title of just the hair over half of the eye and cutting. No, that's just all. No, it goes way deeper than that. And like I said, it's kind of what she was saying. It's almost at a cult type religious following stain. I mean, it's.
Don't put the word cult in there. We'll get in trouble.
Well, it's like people think we're part of the cult anyway. I've been called a devil worshiper. I don't know how many times.
I got asked if I joined a cult just because I do vlogging now.
Oh, jeez.
So.
See what I mean? So let the judges judge, let the haters hate, and yeah. So, trying to think what else about that, because most of it's going to be in a vlog.
So, when we first got in there, or actually while we were waiting in line, we ended up in the one line where it was like the slowest person doing the security wanding. Now you know where I'm going with this. So it comes to our turn. This lady comes up and she's trying to help out. Well, she starts with us. Thank God, because
Jay, pay attention. You might like this.
Yeah. Thank God she started with us, because this guy was seriously just taking forever. She takes a little extra time scanning him.
Yes.
With both the wand and her eyes.
Yes.
His assets became a focal focus for her.
Yes.
She went over his ass with that wand like 16 different times. I'm not even kidding.
Like my ass was illegal or it was violating policy.
No,
to be
she
in.
thought there was like metal plates in there holding his pants up so well.
I can say, referencing Seinfeld right now, I could say my cheeks are real and they're spectacular. So
I had to stand up for it too, but luckily not very
I
well.
would have happily, as I said, I presented my butt cheeks to Dr. Obvious, who about the hemorrhoid story. Those of you know, you know. I would, if it came to it, and she was like, "You're arousing." It's funny, anyways. Is it? You're arousing suspicion with your man cake. I need to know if you're hiding something in there. It's not beneath me. I would have presented my butt cheeks and been like, "Okay, ma'am."
Well, there were people that
It's a 21 and older show anyway, so I would have been okay.
there was one particular chick that was presenting butt cheeks the entire time.
Yes.
She was wearing like a thong leotard thing.
My gaze went over a few times, but I tried not to make. I made sure the camera though that I was vlogging. I tried to be professional there, even if my eyes chose to be unprofessional. But I let the camera do its thing. Where at the concert, the bands, etc., as it was supposed to be.
He was
even though my
her
eyes
cheeks.
were looking at her cheeks a couple times, like it is what it is. Just like it happens. The cheeks draw attention. Clearly, I had my cheeks.
Honestly,
my
when
cheeks
you have
drew
them out
attention.
there like that, you can't help but look.
And mine weren't even out there like that. I wasn't doing anything naughty with them intentionally. Be like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at my cheeks. No, it's just because they're naturally that way. The curvature, I have a lot of junk in the trunk. So, this lady who was wanding at the security line had found that out. And I wasn't wearing anything, provocative. I didn't have any pants with juicy written on the side or anything like that.
I'm going to buy you a pair of pants that say
Please
juicy on
don't.
the ass just because of that. And I'm going to make you wear them to Walmart.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was another thing. The bank lady that helped me out when he came in with me to drop off the pay stub for my short-term disability check so they had proof of address since my ID's out of state. Looks over, after he walked away because he went to go start on his shopping part while I was finishing up with that. She goes, "Is that your friend that was with you?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Where do I know him from?" I'm like,
maybe she's seen our vlog. Maybe I'm a YouTuber. I don't know. I'm a personality online.
We do vlogging. We have a weekly Creatures of the Night YouTube thing that we do, and I'm like, and we live a half hour from town, so we're here every week.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes multiple times a week.
She didn't ask me to autograph anything.
No, she tried to insist that I should get him to sign up for the bank.
Right, she wanted my
because I think she wanted to be able
John
to
Hancock on paper for signing up.
She wanted to have him come in there, so she had some eye candy every once in a while.
Yes, there's that. Jay says, I'm not gonna lie, I need to get more into the songs, but I do love emo rap. What my homie gets mad about is she like don't play this. That's not real. LOL. My eyes. LMAO. About my butt probably. Anyway, gonna hit the hay. Have a good night, everyone. Okay. Well, bye, Jay. If you're already gone, bye. If you see this, say bye anyway. Bye. Zach says, funny if they thought you were on. If you were one of the band members. Trust me, I've had that before where somebody was like, "Are you up next?" I kid you not. I'm standing in the audience and they think, And not to mention, I think you saw the post recently, this past week, this week of back and forth hell with
chaos.
Trying to get her crap figured out. Somebody came up to me and said, "You look like you're a singer of Slayer," which I knew. Luckily, I knew what that was. Again, speaking my language. And,
I did too.
I was just like, oh, that's a first. Usually I get confused as being a member of Black Veil Brides. And so That's the
on my
first
knee.
time I heard Slayer thing, so I just kind of fist bumped him and like, yeah, rock on. Whatever. She was on the phone at the time.
Yeah, mind you, I was on the phone trying to find out why my check was denied, and they picked up on his voice and said, "We're sorry, did not understand your response." I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, it was a fun moment though for me. At least it lightened it
Until you felt
briefly.
bad.
At least it lightened the moment briefly, because that was I've never been called a member of Slayer or a singer of Slayer, but yeah.
Yeah, and then he had one particularly drunk guy come up and was complimenting him on his look and everything else, and
Oh, at the concert, yeah.
yeah, and I had been standing and using my wheelchair to have my leg propped up on so I could stand up and not have all my weight on my other foot so that it wasn't like too uncomfortable and I could stand for longer periods of time. I had to pull my knee in as far as I could to keep my foot as close to the seat of the wheelchair because he was drunk and kept hitting the wheelchair while he's trying to talk to him. I'm just like, oh, okay. I can appreciate that he was appreciative of the style and everything, but go away.
Yeah.
Not to mention there was a very, very drunk guy in a pink hat that multiple times he had to kind of step in the
Well,
pathway
that
to
was the biggest
protect
thing.
me.
There might not have been as much of a alertness or guard being up where people getting close to us, just because. But this time in the show, people have been drinking already. I mean, a lot of them had probably started drinking at 5 or immediately
Or in
once they
their
got
cars.
into the place.
Or in the line, like we saw a couple people already
Right.
doing.
And so a few of them wobbling around or whatever just needed one good, perfect blow to her foot from being stepped on or whatever from one of these people. So that was our mindset. We were still enjoying ourselves, but it reminded me of when we would stand, anytime I go to a show and I'm in the body surfing moshing area or whatever, up close to the front of the stage, and I'm always having to watch my six, look over me, look behind, because if somebody coming over, with their feet dangling, you don't want to get kicked in the face on set, So sometimes it depends on the mood. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, let's go into that area, and just wreak havoc. And then other times I want to go to a show and just kind of enjoy it and not have to worry about watching all the time. This was a special case, so we still had to watch her foot. But we did get
on the,
as close as we could.
Yeah, we got pretty close, and we got into the staged area where everybody was standing. Because for the first couple of bands and stuff, we stayed kind of in the back grassy area where we were close enough to the stage, but I was able to sit without being bombarded by people.
Yeah.
But we did end up getting closer, and by the time All American Rejects came on, I was on the actual little stage part they had set up for people to stand on.
Right.
So I was pretty proud of that, although it never failed that somebody tall would stand in our way.
It was, yeah.
And no, I didn't even tell you the last song that All American Rejects did. At the very beginning of it, the guy that was standing like right in front of me off to the left kept backing up, so I had to put my hand on him twice to keep him from backing up into the wheelchair, because up there isn't like in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
If you bump it, it still moves, even when it's locked.
Right.
So I had to stop him twice, and finally he fucking moved away. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, he moved away. Yeah. So, needless to say, there's a few times I left her just very briefly to go. One of them was to go find band merch, and we were disappointed about the turnout of the actual. Couple of the bands, I guess, just opted to not bring merch, which
The bands
I've
I
heard of that
wanted
before.
stuff for
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
bring anything.
Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and All American Rejects, I guess, didn't bring stuff according to
And neither
this
did
guy.
Story of the Year, which was another one
Yeah.
that I wanted something from.
So it's mostly a lot of plain white tees stuff, which they're great in their own way. They're the ones, if you remember, that saying, "Hey there, Delilah," that one. So it was just kind
Wasn't
of a
my
bummer
favorite band
when
that
it comes to that. Yeah, it wasn't her favorite band on there, and honestly, it wasn't one of my favorites of the ones that were there. But I don't mind them; they're good in their own way. It's just a little bit different. They're a little bit more of a, I don't want to say cafe rock, but with the kind of the guitarist thing. Oh,
Soft rock.
yeah, kind of soft rock. If I almost want to say if the band Train and Mumford & Sons got together and created a love child, that's kind of a little bit. That's the best way I can explain. If you know what I'm talking about, you know.
I absolutely loved Story of the Year. I kind of wish that we would have gone up closer for them and for Red Jumpsuit. But at the time, I was very, very wary about being up that close. I didn't think I would really be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
by the end of the concert, I'm like, I want to get closer. I'm over this.
Yeah.
Plus, I wanted to get away from the drunken idiots that were to our right.
Yeah. So no, it was a fun time. A lot of posters and displays to take pictures with. Like, it's not a phase. Kind of was lit up stuff, so we had to take pictures of that. Everyone was so kind and nice. That's why I knew it's my people. You know, because even at the end when we were trying to leave and go up the other wheelchair ramp, which ended up being closed on the closest side, which would have been convenient for us,
Oh
and we
my
had to go
God.
across the baseball stadium to the other one to be able to get up and out of there. We tried it, and there was a couple gentlemen that were willing to lift her up, and I made the joke about how there wasn't any body surfers at this concert yet that we saw at just a little bit of the wrong time. I mean, they could have, but everyone kind of behaved or were too drunk to jump up and whatever. I don't know, but
I didn't know if they were talking about me, myself, or
I
me
imagine
in the
them
wheelchair.
picking you up in wheelchair because I've seen
Oh my God.
I've seen body surfing. That's what I thought it was. You didn't know that?
I didn't know what they
Yeah.
were planning, but I was just
Yeah,
like,
pick you up with,
I'm
lift
good.
you up with the wheelchair. A few strong men, you know, lifting you up in there, so you'd be, you know, like a big throne carried up the stairs that way.
And I was very, very appreciative of it. But if one of them or the wheelchair or something happened where next thing you know I'm on the ground, I might end up back in the hospital because I fucked up my foot some more.
But
so I appreciated their offer.
appreciated their offer, and I guess
But
the good
I
thing is
declined.
I did notice all the hospital's locations on the way to the venue.
And from the venue.
So I knew where we would have to go at
my
least
God.
to save her from having to hopefully do another ambulance charge on her bill of a small fortune that
Which-
she's creating.
Before getting the airlifting things, we're sitting at about $26,000.
That's kind of where we're at right now. So we're waiting to see. I'm starting to place bets. I'm thinking maybe about 40,000 is what's going to cap out at, but we'll see. So, Zach says, did you get Della's cookies too with the Crispitos? No, I didn't. Yeah, that wasn't anything. Which, by the way, I know that I think she still talks with you. You need to try to mention our live stream again to see if maybe she'll do it, because we did it early tonight. So hopefully it was, you know, more favorable for those who might think it's too late to do it. So I was hoping to see Della in the live stream again. Darn it. We used to be her show. So, yeah, no, you need, you know, mention it if you want to, but it's just kind of, I have to give her a hard time. It's like, we move over to YouTube and you can't join us anymore? Yeah. But yeah, no, Not a Phase Fest was great. Trying to think of any other thing. Most of the other stuff's going to be kind of tight-lipped until we get the concert vlog done with it, because most of it's just self-explanatory in that. I'm trying to think of anything that maybe we didn't capture that we could talk about as a highlight. Anything else you can think of? Knowing where the elevator was kind of pointless because the elevator, it only went up. I guess it didn't go to the sub level. Because those of you who don't know exactly the layout of it, the stage was set up on the field. So the elevator would have been pointless because it would have been up in the stands level and it would have gone up to the upper level. So there's no way it would have gone down. But they did have, for ADA compliance, I guess they did have ramps for wheelchairs, even if one was shut off and the other one was open.
You'd think that with us being VIP that they would have had that one open as well.
Right.
Versus making people who's paid more for their ticket go all the way to the other side and then have to wheel all the way back through it.
Right.
I was not a happy camper.
No. So that was the thing, and people seem to not know. It's kind of interesting how many of the vendor people that I would have assumed, I guess, maybe that's wrong of me, that worked there, did events there. More than one of them, and I'm not thinking that it was their first day for both of them. They didn't know where the ramp was. One of them didn't even know where the merch stuff was set up at. So I was very disappointed in the I guess lack of knowledge
I mean,
that
since
some of the
it's
event
with-
staff had.
they could have been just with the tour itself and setting up their booths at each location.
Well, maybe it been benefit of the doubt, but I was a little bit surprised by that
Yeah.
they didn't know where some of the stuff that you would have thought, like, hey, where's the restrooms? And they're like, I don't know. Let me ask somebody. And it's like, how do you not know? I mean, that's on the similar wavelength in my mind of, like, I think you would know where. I mean, it's just basic questions. We weren't asking them, what RX times 3 times far. We weren't giving them some kind of trigonometry equation to figure out on a Dr. Reed Spencer level. So I don't know.
Yes.
Criminal Minds references, Anyway, so no. Other than that, it was pretty good.
And because of how late it was when we got out, the only places that were really open were gas stations and Waffle House. And I wanted to go to Waffle House, but neither one of us wanted to sit.
Waffle House isn't really a great fast food type thing.
It's not car food.
It's more of a go in, you have to sit down, you have to prepare your hash browns or your or whatever you order.
Honestly, they're pretty quick about it.
They are pretty quick, but it's
I think
still.
we could have been out of there in a decent amount of time, but it's still been one of those things where
It's kind of
we wanted to go.
the Perkins level of thing. You kind of it's.
Don't compare it to Perkins.
Well, in terms of the speed, what I mean.
They're
Well, they're not a McDonald's where you can just go through the drive-through. And
honestly,
then,
I feel like they are faster than McDonald's at times. I've gone in and I've got my food within 5-10 minutes.
To each their own experience, I guess.
Well,
It hasn't
I guess
been
we're just gonna have to go together.
Mine is more of you need to allow yourself at least 10 minutes. Like, yeah, you can go in, but you have to go in and sit down. I don't even think Waffle House has a drive-through, do they?
No.
See what I mean?
But you can take it
neither
to
of
go.
us wanted to get out. So I guess
Physically, I was done for the
Yeah.
day.
so it just wasn't that what I guess my point is it wasn't the fast, okay, let's order it through the drive-through and within 5 minutes we have it through the window and we're on our way. We still have to get out, order it. Every time I've ever ate there, it's been an in and dine, so I've had to sit down. Even if I'm right by the register, I have to go in and sit. I was done peopling. I was sweaty, miserable.
It was hot.
I was just.
We only had bought one bottle of water besides our merch, which I'm
Right.
proud of us for not spending more money.
Yeah.
I won the spending less this time
Yeah.
around. But I hadn't eaten since we had been in the car, and by the time we were leaving, I needed to eat because I hadn't taken any Tylenol or ibuprofen for my foot since we got out of the car because I couldn't take my bag in, and I didn't have anywhere to store the bottle of ibuprofen, so I was like, okay, let's just see how this goes. I should be alright. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking worst case scenario, I go to the medical tent and ask them for some ibuprofen.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, some people get hangry when they don't eat. I guess it's not so much the hangry thing, but it's more of she gets dizzy
And nauseous.
Which I'm so fortunate with myself, for example, I can go and especially go in hours and all day and a half doing something, keep my mind preoccupied. I'm like, food, what's that? It doesn't affect me in the same way that either people that get hangry, it affects them and they have to eat, otherwise they're not themselves and they get bitchy.
Like
or,
my sister.
Or people that just suddenly, they don't eat and they just get the, I guess, dizzy. I don't know how to explain it because I don't go through that, but the dizziness.
It's like, I don't know if any of you
vertigo?
have actually, I don't know if anybody's actually experienced vertigo, but I get that feeling. And then it's like, I don't really lose time, but it's like it feels like time went into kind of warp speed, and the last couple minutes feel like they were only seconds. Yeah, it's just really weird when it happens, and I think it may have something to do with my thyroid stuff from having to take my supplement thyroid stuff because I never used to be like that.
Yeah, so she would be, I guess, more like what I'm talking about, where you'd be able to just kind of do things, keep yourself busy, and then you realize, hey, I went all day without eating, and it didn't impact you to that same degree. I mean, yeah, once you thought about it, you're like, oh, I guess I am empty. Like you have an empty feeling. You kind of, and I prefer the empty feeling versus a full bloated feeling. That's just me. But no, I was making a little bit of a little Zach joke because I was just like, oh, so you're involuntarily fasting. Yay, you're fasting. Because we were so busy that she would go all day and not eat anything as, the day of the concert for the most part. And so I was like low key, but like, Zach would be proud, then you're kind of fasting in your own way.
Well, and I do that on the daily anyways because I don't really eat a whole lot. I've been eating more since being home because I'm not constantly moving and stuff.
Yeah.
Than what I would say if I went to work. I'd be lucky if I remembered to take or drink a breakfast drink before I went to work. And then I would go to work. I'd work all day. I'd come home and I wouldn't eat until we were like eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Which I used to get in trouble for doing that too because if I didn't eat while I was at work, if I went on breaks, every once in a while that would kick in the whole feeling kind of dizzy. But once I started working again, I was fine.
Yeah, and see, I could do the fasting thing kind of like what Zach's doing. I haven't done long durations anytime recent, but I can do that. But it's I would say the just staying busy thing, like when I'm doing music, for example, that's a good example. Because when I'm doing recording for music stuff, I mean, time flies so fast, and then I realize, oh, last thing I did, I had a banana at 7 o'clock this morning, and it's 8 o'clock at night, and it's like, oh, I didn't eat anything all day. Oh.
Yeah, it's like when I was in Indiana and it'd been like 4 hours since I heard from you. I'm like, he must be doing music.
Yeah, that will happen. Usually when I go hiatus and I'm missing an action for longer than the normal 2 or 3 hour kind of thing, odds are I could be doing music recording. But yeah, no. Yeah, I think that's about. I'm trying to think of any other little highlights of the concert.
The last thing we had was stopping at Quick Mart, and they had taquitos, which weren't the Crispitos that we both wanted, but we were 5 hours away. No.
She just needed substance. She needed food.
I needed sustenance, and of course, they had a little sign that says, anything behind this sign is still cooking. They all said that,
Yeah.
except for a jalapeno one. I don't do jalapeno. And I told the attendant, because I was asking him how much longer they had, he goes, oh, they should be about done. And he puts a bag on them and then puts his hand to, feel on them. And he goes, yeah, they're done. How many you want? I'm like, two. I just want the steak and cheese ones. Well, I ended up with the spicy chicken ones. That's what happens when you trust somebody else to grab it for you. So, besides that, we got that, and then on the way home, I started driving after we stopped at that gas station, and I got some food in my system and stuff, but I didn't last very long. I had lasted about an hour, maybe a little bit over that, and I'm telling him the entire time, like, you should get some rest, because I knew I was tired.
And I was uploading the pictures, at least the pictures that weren't part of the vlog, so I could do those sooner, and I was okay with that.
Yeah,
it took me still
it
about
took him
11 to
than
12 minutes to do, but...
It was more like 20.
Well...
Either way, I'm sitting here like, you should really get some rest. And then I would look over and he's still doing it. I'm like, you should probably get some rest because I can't promise how late
I didn't know it was going to be that soon because literally not that long before that, she's like, yeah, I'm awake, so her body changes so quickly.
Yeah, I think just the last little bit getting out to the car because we had to go back up the ramp, and of course he's pushing me up the ramp. I'm trying to help, so I'm like wheeling and using my foot at the same time, and I think it was just my body's last straw, and it's like, you are done. So it didn't really like me driving, and so I got to the point of my eyes were getting very, very hard to stay open. They were starting to cross while I'm driving. I'm like, okay, I've got to find somewhere to pull off.
And I fought off the good fight for almost the whole way. I was having a little jam session concert of My Chemical Romance the whole time. Just kind of turned it up a little bit louder than I would normally when somebody's trying to sleep in the car, because I'm just like, us continuing to drive is more important, because I don't like pulling over in rest stops and getting a cat nap in. I mean, if you have to, absolutely great, but I hear sketchy things can happen. I just don't like doing that.
And I'm used to sleeping with loud music and stuff, so it didn't bother me.
So so literally within 30 minutes, about 35 minutes or so away from the mansion, I started getting I was like, oh gosh. I even prolonged it a little bit by pulling over in front of one of the abandoned house that I found. Zach, so peculiar encounters, maybe a potential thing to go back to for urbexing, maybe. But I got out of the car and kind of did I call it a self Chinese drill, where I didn't even do the full thing with her, but I normally sometimes I'll stop the car, get out in the fresh air, work my heart rate a little bit, going around the car a little bit, or running in place. So you can imagine somebody driving by mine, what the hell? But I'm used to that because I do roadkill eulogies with Colton, as you know, for Peculiar. Cars driving by, playing a violin, sad song to roadkill. It tends to, people bat their eyes and like, what? It's out of the norm. But so
are you?
Yes, I am. This has been established.
And of course, while he's doing this, I had already taken ibuprofen, and I was wanting to take over, but my foot was still acting up, so I had taken off my shoe thing on it. Yeah, and I was doing the massaging thing that I've noticed actually does help keep the pain away for longer periods of time if I do that. But he had gotten back in the car and started driving, and I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like...
I'm determined now.
Yeah,
I'm like, we're so close to home.
He was determined, and I'm like... I'm sitting here finishing up massaging my foot and stuff, and he gets to the point of starting to kind of veer. I'm like, okay, I can take over at this point. He goes, well, I offered, or I said something about it, and you couldn't do it.
I didn't think she was in a position to do it yet, so I was just like, if I got to pull over and do a quick, quarter-mile round-trip run down the road to wake myself up again, I could do that, but...
Yeah, I was like, I think I'll be okay. I had eaten, or I got my combos while he was doing that, so I was eating to have something in my system since I just took some ibuprofen. I had gotten my nap in. I felt like I didn't really sleep, but apparently I did. But, so yeah, I got us the rest of the way home while he got a little bit, I don't even think it was really a cat nap. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I didn't get much
of it. Obvious as
she's a heavy sleeper. I can
sometimes.
freaking, get out of bed, move, do a little ding, ding, ding with make noise, and she's a little...
I don't think that is... We're going to have to test that there, because I don't think that's correct.
I've seen you snore through some stuff that would normally wake up. I mean, I would wake up.
I woke up to Emery opening or unlocking my front door.
Well, that could be also motherly instinct. That's a little different. Anything involving kids could be a little different. That could be a maternal thing, because that's the thing. But anything that's not, though, to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges, I would say it's like, I'll test it maybe sometime. Maybe I don't poop downstairs, but maybe sometime when I know I have a lot of gas built up, I could be, my cheeks, as you know, they clap, and they can be quite loud.
I don't think you farting in the middle of the night unless you're
when she's passed out and I'm going to the bathroom just around the corner and I'm just ripping ass, if she sleeps through that, then I'll be like, okay, see, and I'll film it.
That is quieter than the TV. That is quieter than music. Unless you were hotboxing me while we're sleeping, then yeah, I might
crop
wake up
dusting
to that.
you.
Yeah, I might wake up to that. I mean, I won't say that.
Wow. Let me read the chat here. This is a good time. Funny if you thought you were on one of the... Oh, I read that one already. Oh God, 26,000. Yep. 11 eating waffles at Waffle House. Yep, that's, again, Stranger Things reference. I get it, but yeah, you do have to remember, Zach, she has not seen that yet, so some of the stuff just goes over her head. So
I can't appreciate the humor.
She can't appreciate it yet, so maybe remember that and tone it down a notch when you're making a Stranger Things reference to her, because she might be like, what?
I ask him about him when I get
Yeah, I get it, and I have to translate for her. Dad calls it Waffle House? Like wolf, or, okay. Remember when we joked about taking over driving every mile outside of the village? Driving every mile outside.
That was me, and that was the comment I was going to make, but decided not to make it out loud.
Oh. One second.
Sorry, even I have to censor myself sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I thought you were thinking.
Yes.
That's funny. So, okay. Cool.
Trust me when I say that one was censor worthy.
Yes. I was. Let's see here. After a case at Malvern. Oh, yeah. Well, that was another time. When Zach and I were kind of put in that position, we were driving from Malvern Manor, our 13th anniversary as a team investigation. That was almost as far. It's comparable. It's within the same area of driving from what we did for Kansas City to.
Yeah, the last time I had to drive like that was with my ex and driving back from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't as kind when I needed to sleep, so.
Oh, well, yeah. And so that was kind of the paranormal hangover. Zach was introduced to. That's what it is. Because that was one of those typical classic overnight cases. We didn't get out of there till like 5, 4 in the morning or whatever. We didn't get home till closer to 8, remember right. 8 or 9. And so then, of course, just passed out. It's daylight out, so it throws your circadian rhythm out.
Yeah.
Birds are chirping, everything. And then we have equipment. Generally, when it's a team thing like that, it's a little different than what we did. But, of course, we have equipment filled in the back. And we usually, in that kind of thing, was like, we'll grab what we can carry in one go-in. The important stuff, usually, the more expensive electronics is usually how I prioritize it. Carry that in. Lock the vehicle up, lock the garage, whatever, and then get to the rest of the unloading once we're up again.
Speaking of rest of the unloading, I gotta get my ice pack out of the car. It's still in there.
Your what's in the car?
The ice pack for my foot.
Oh, yeah, I gotta go. Okay, so when we wrap up here in a moment, she's always, I don't know, I had to run out there.
I told him about it this morning when we got inside, and I'm like, I'm comfortable, I'm tired, you're comfortable, you're
but
tired.
But for gaming or do anything else, we do need it, because we don't need, if you've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or whatever it is, you don't need her being swelling and then floating up like one of those.
To be fair, my foot did not swell up the entire time we were there.
It's good, but we need to keep it that way. That's what I'm getting at. So if the ice pack, if that means my ass needs to go out there and grab it, I will.
Might want to grab the mail too, so we know how much it is.
I guess I gotta do that too.
You've been curious about it since it happened. So when I get my medical bills in, he's like, "Do any of those tell you how much the flight was?"
Yeah, I was curious because I know what a ground ambulance is because tragedies happened at the mansion with somebody in it, so I know what a ground ambulance cost was. That didn't even take a body. That's just to dispatch them for them to do a round trip and then go back to wherever they came from, and they still get billed. The patient still gets billed for that, which I think is crap, but it is what it is. It's a medical system. It makes me curious
if a certain person I know got it for when I had to call the ambulance for him one time.
I'm sure they did.
He never said he got a bill for it.
Well, he probably wouldn't admit that.
Yeah, well, too bad I didn't, cause other reasons for him to go to the hospital either, so.
All right. Other than that, I think you guys stay tuned for the actual concert vlog. So get the footage, get that compiled. That'll be the next few days working on doing that, getting that out there.
And I'll be posting on my YouTube separately because when I took the videos, I took of the full songs, and especially since some of them were newer songs that they haven't really released yet. I made sure to get some of those. For the
Story of the Year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple bands. Plain White Tees, I think, had it. Yeah, there's a few that they did. The beginning opener and the closing band didn't have. I mean, they played things that were already out there because they're not making new music.
And then, of course, Story of the Year. There was one of their songs, one of my favorite songs. I was recording because there was an accident in the crowd. Somebody had hurt themselves, and so they were taking a second before starting or whatever. And I had clicked off of recording that and went to click again because I wanted just to have that little clip and then beginning of the song. I clicked too quickly and it didn't start recording. So I'm sitting there holding my phone up for a good like minute and a half, thinking I'm recording the song, and then I look at it and it's not recording. I'm motherfucker.
She had what we call, Zach, she had a Mary moment. You know, Mary on our team, that's a boo-boo mistake that she makes. So, yes. But no, I got it. So, like, so 2 cameras going, that's the importance of it. Multiple angles, so you have a backup.
You recorded that part, but you didn't record the entire song like I wanted.
Ah, well, you know. I was faced with my phone dying. So I was milking the battery that I had on it. So I was doing, I cut out quite a bit of dashboard stuff compared to some of the bands before. Because I wanted to save enough that I felt comfortable for All American Rejects. And actually, I kid you not, the last 2 songs were all put together. It's about an 8-minute, about 11 or 12-minute, all the way to the close. So 2 songs that they performed all the way through, and the closing, including the little observation about the trash. Oh wow, look at all this trash! You know, all that. So that was the longest intact single clip that I have on there, because I'm worried that if I start and stop it, that's gonna spend even more energy from the battery than if I just kept it recording. It could be false, but that's in my mind. I kind of thought that. Any Apple iPhone specialists in the chat, you want to prove me wrong? Go ahead.
The funny thing is that we both had 100% on our battery when we went in. Mine was down to, I think, 27%, and his was down to 5.
But mine's older.
Yeah.
And I didn't change it over to low
power
mode until it was already a third of the way down, because I had an airplane mode before that. So it was completely apples to apples comparison, maybe my phone would have been closer to her range, even
mine
though
was on low power mode the entire time.
That's what I'm saying, though.
My airplane mode I didn't turn on. I had my data on the entire time too.
But you see what I'm saying, though? It's not exactly in a good, accurate comparison, because it was different criteria. So if we had went in there at the same time, be like, okay, settings switched over to this in 3, 2, 1, and her on her phone did it, and me on my phone did it, then we could exactly compare. Because mine's iPhone 11 Pro, I think. It's older. It's been, I've had it. It's already been paid off. I got it in 2019, I think.
Mine I just got this year, and it is the new whatever generation of the iPhone SE.
So it would be interesting if we'd done it that way, and we should have maybe tried it and then see which is the better phone in terms of lasting duration and endurance.
Mine was just pissing me off on the way there, where I kept losing signal. T-Mobile sucks.
Well, I always mine wins because it's on Verizon, but I don't have the same
next time I'm just gonna
issue she has when it comes to that.
Off of your hotspot.
That's if I set a hotspot. No, because the only time I really use because I'm limited, I don't have an unlimited hotspot, but I got to keep it for work. That's important, because when we have an internet outage here at the mansion, and it's during a work day, I still have to work. Otherwise, I got to take PTO. So so that's kind of important. Let's see here. Remember when we okay, I read that one already. Think we got the Crispitos out only in March. Oh, when we did our when we went to that trip, that was the first one. You saw that when Zach and I were out. We made a Crispito mission to get some.
I gave money. I gave funds. Now, mind you, this time they were like half off, because he was expecting me to spend like $70-80 on these Crispitos, and they only cost me $40.
See, and that's how it was. I think when I went one other time, I think either it was with Zach.
That's how it was when you and I went.
No, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because it's not every time. When you go to Fairway, which is a grocery store, it's kind of a local, small, regional thing. Kind of like how Piggly Wiggly's is in the regional kind of thing. They run sales sometimes, and so when you catch a sale on there, you can get them where they do like one Crispito and get another one
buy one get
free,
one free
kind of thing. So when you have a package of them and there's like 75 in a case, that definitely helps. So I'm glad for her that she was
Especially
able to catch that when that happened.
Especially considering how much I just spent to cash my check.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it would have been like about $80 of tax.
Yeah, so the way I was looking at it was I paid full price for the Crispitos and I only spent 40 something to cash my check, so it made it feel a little bit better for me.
and we know how long they can last. I know I don't eat them every day, but when we do have them, I try to savor them. But I know when it's multiple people eating them or doing 4 or 5 Crispitos each at a time, I mean, they don't last forever, but they can last a while when you buy them by the case. Like that, but I still try to space them out just because I know they are kind of a treat, and they don't have them locally that we could find. So it would be another Iowa trip, and Lord knows I don't want to go there too often.
Knowing how little of a trip it really is, I would whole ass drive that trip just.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Her car does better gas mileage too than mine, so there's that.
Maybe next time I'll get 2 cases just so that we.
Yeah, get 2. If you catch them and they're on sale, then you can get them for $80 instead of $160 or whatever it would be. All right, we'll wrap up here in a little bit. Let me let's see here. What's sad is our helicopter ride over Mount St. Helens was only $250, and the hospital will charge $25K.
Don't put that out there. Don't tell me that. No, the
25.
That's for everything besides that.
Yeah, $26K is the pins being put in.
It's for the first hospital.
Macomb visit.
All the drugs that they put me on. The surgery.
Yeah. So to clear that up, $25,000 isn't just for the hospital ride alone, or the helicopter.
It's for the 2 hospitals combined without the helicopter ride, plus the doctor's appointment that I had.
Yeah. So if that makes more sense, if that clarifies it. So it's tallying up, because we're getting bills now that are coming here, and I'm not sure yet from her standpoint if Medicaid is helping her at all. No. It sounds like it's not. So.
Which I was already expecting they're not going to.
Yeah. So they are coming this way, and it's just kind of interesting to see the money add up, knowing that she's like, well, because she's broke. She's not going to be able to pay it, so.
Chances are very good that I'm going to end up having to file for bankruptcy yet again.
Yeah. So right now it's just kind of isn't that nice when we're reading it in the mail, kind of thing. And just kind of guesstimating, putting bets on, to myself, okay, it's going to top out at this. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. It's a very interesting thing.
The last time that I filed bankruptcy was for medical bills too.
Yeah?
And I had insurance, but it just was shitty insurance. And they didn't cover shit.
Yeah.
This time I have no insurance, and I'm getting all these bills racked up. I've had, besides all the drugs they pumped into me and having the surgery, I had to get 2 separate x-rays. So those alone cost money. It's just, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm ready for this shit to be done after they get the pins taken out. I don't care if I never have to go back to the doctor as long as he approves me going back to work.
Right. So that is what that is. Hopefully that clarified it. But yeah, no, the case in point is still that, it's just a recreational helicopter ride. Generally it's going to be cheaper. But for some reason, because it's linked to a medical establishment helicopter ride, it's going to be triple, quadruple, whatever.
And it was the Army people that are actually the ones that flew me out there.
Yeah.
So they're from the base that's over here.
You would think, obviously, a helicopter is a helicopter, but maybe, Zach, as you know, we've argued about this before, about capitalism at its best. So maybe that has something to do with it.
They're going to love it when I don't pay them because I don't have the funds to pay them.
Right.
I'd be paying that off for the rest of my life, and then my kids would get it.
It's just as bad as student loan. That's kind of one of the things we're waiting on, Zach, is we're waiting on Grandpa Biden, which should be any day soon, when the Supreme Court has their say in the student loan forgiveness thing. And
which doesn't affect me, but it affects them.
It affects us. And I'm hoping that it will go through, because that will help him to an extent, but it will help pay off mine completely, because I have under that amount on there, but that's still to be seen. But no, I was saying kind of, with this highlight of all these like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching with these hospital bills is like, okay, so if Grandpa Biden fails us on the student loan debt forgiveness thing, maybe he'll turn his attention to doing some kind of a medical debt forgiveness. Wouldn't that be nice to certain people? Because that is, it's like, even though I was forced to go to college, so I don't agree completely with the argument of like, well, you chose to go. It's like, but still, medical stuff, it's more clear cut, not as gray.
And
Where
mine
these
wasn't
accidents are not planned.
And it can't even be well, you chose not to have insurance, because I have insurance, just not in this state, and they don't cover out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So it just was a fluke. I couldn't switch over to the other insurance fast enough. They tell you when you switch Medicaid to a different state that you should plan it in advance. Let them know that you're planning on moving. Apply for the other one so that there's no gap in between.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't necessarily a planned, hey, I'm moving out here, like 2 months down the road, anything like that. It was I needed to get out of a situation, so it was an immediate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Zach said, a ghosty with smiley face and cry face. Yep. And says, have to have some more when I get back. Oh, you want the taco thing? Yeah, the Crispitos.
My daughter is jealous as hell. I told her that.
Yeah.
I picked some up.
And I can't remember, Zach, if you're going to be back in time for St. Louis Pride Fest next Saturday, June 25th. Because with you, I can't keep track sometimes because, like, when you left, that was unplanned and unscheduled. So I can't always even pretend to know when you're going to be here, when you're not. Things change. I think you were shooting for July or a little bit earlier. But, yeah, if you are back here in time for next weekend or even next Creatures or next Saturday, we are planning to go to St. Louis Pride next weekend. So, FYI.
And good thing I get to keep the wheelchair.
Yeah, and our neighbor finally, because I sent him a text. He's bad at checking, I guess.
He didn't get back to us until we were already on our way yesterday. And had I known that I could have kept it,
because we would have customized
decorated it like we did the walker.
I'd have pimped her ride like the walker, but so now I guess we can. And so for Pride Fest, you can have
when I was on Etsy earlier, I found some Elder Emo stickers and stuff and decals. I'm like, their whole ass going on it.
Right.
I've got to get them.
Yeah, so
I just got to wait till my next check.
we'll have that because I'll be pushing her and helping her probably through the crowd. It wouldn't be my first, like I said, back in the early 2000 teens, Pride buddy Karen, I told you about that.
Yep.
She had one year she had something, I think it was with her knee or surgery or something. Anyway, so she was wheelchair bound also. So I was in charge of pushing her through, and we're always saying, like, because she was always known as, like, Diva or whatever, so I was like, Diva, make way! I'd be saying that loudly, and having people get out of the way. It was great. And she takes pride, and she finds humor in the memes. Now that the Karen has developed its own thing, she having, unfortunately, a name of Karen,
Oh, God.
she laughs at this. She laughs at herself and Karen's too. I mean, anytime you share I need a manager meme or whatever, like she's on it, she's just laughing. I mean, so it's she goes with it. She's not offended like a typical Karen might.
Good.
So yeah, that's why I tag her that stuff sometimes. I'll wait for Zach to see this.
And in exchange for him pushing me through with the wheelchair, I will help protect his assets from anybody interested.
Yeah, watch my 6. Yeah, exactly. Because it's
well,
usually,
I can't really physically watch your 6 when you're behind me.
Watch my booty.
You're gonna get grabbed. I'm gonna laugh.
Kind of waiting here a little bit. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I'm seeing if Zach is typing up something. So before I close down, I want to see if he responds.
There we go.
Should be back June 25th and after. Oh, okay. We're gonna be there already. The time that we're arriving at the Pride Fest is gonna be iffy. I'm not sure yet. So it's okay. Don't worry. Don't cause anxiety. If we see you, we do. If you don't, that's fine. Because I know you're doing your last little road trip thing. I think you're seeing Della, if I remember right. I think that's part of your trip back.
Darling, the 25th is on a Sunday.
Well, whatever that Saturday is.
The 24th.
Because the street party is. Oh, let me see. I must have made wrong.
That's why I was double checking, because I thought that it would.
Hey, I guess my dates were wrong. So we're planning to be at the Pride Fest on that Saturday. I said Saturday, and then I said the 25th. I guess 25th is a Sunday, so don't be confused. So, sorry about that. So, yeah, whatever that Saturday of the Pride Fest in St. Louis is, that is what we were talking about. We just need to hear from you about the time. All right. Thanks. Okay. Different friend that wanted to meet us up there, and this might confused the plans. Because I was going by the wrong date.
I didn't know there was a friend, so.
Yeah. So,
I'm
last
glad that I
year-
checked.
right.
Otherwise, they'd be thinking we were coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if all it can't, I try to do it on Saturdays because generally Pride Fest is a little bit busier. It's just better on Saturday. That's my opinion.
No, I've never been, so another cherry.
You never been to Pride Fest?
No, I told you. They're always
Indiana
been.
has them, don't they?
Remember, I told you that they're always been too far, or I've had to work.
Oh, because I know India. I'm sure Indianapolis has.
Yeah, that's 3.5 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
I always had to work, or
That's
I was
too
always
bad.
broke.
I will
Or-
blame the work thing because retail's a bitch. I'm assuming you were in retail. I don't know. Maybe not at that time.
What else is new?
I like to blame retail because retail is a cause of not having personal freedoms.
I mean,
And
even though
availability.
Taco Bell was the restaurant business, technically it's the same.
Yeah,
as retail,
restaurant,
so-
food services, restaurants, retail, it's all the same to me.
Yeah, that's all I've ever worked. So.
Yeah. They just,
Well, not true. I worked in home instead, so even senior caregiving though, it was still I had to work weekends.
yeah. So you might miss it, Zach, but I wanted to give you a heads up at least about it. We'll talk again about it probably that Creatures of the Night that Friday. So next Friday. We should be back on regular scheduled date next week. Anywho, let me read it. I could come to St. Louis but don't know the area. Otherwise, Monday 26th if I get too tired. Funny being in St. Louis because my friend lives there that ties me up, so I imagine him getting us. Haha. It's funny.
Well, no, never mind.
Is this something you need to text him?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe it's something you need to text. She's self-censoring, so maybe she'll text you, Zach. I don't know what she was saying, but.
No, it was a me thing. Not.
Oh well, you could still tell him.
I'm just.
The BDSM thing.
Yes, I'm keeping it to myself because I'm grounded right now, and on top of that, that part of my life is non-existent right now. So I'm trying to behave.
Anyway, so yeah, that's our plan for next weekend. Again, happy Pride Month to everyone who recognizes it and celebrates. Also, anyone in the St. Louis area, probably maybe see you there. Not sure on the time yet. Again, normally, like last year, I went to St. Louis Pride. It was about 5 o'clock when I got there. Their Pride closes early, which is kind of interesting because back in Des Moines, it was like it went from 11 to 11 or something like that. I think in St. Louis, their street party wraps up by 7. So usually I catch it at the tail end. But I guess there was a performer. My other friend wanted to see that she didn't know the time of it, so it could be noon, 1 o'clock kind of thing. So I said, okay, well, whoever it is, let me, because I'm pretty flexible on, I don't have to go at 4 or 5. That's just always been my thing, but it's not triggering my OCD if I have to get up a little bit earlier and be in St. Louis by the start time.
Well, and with me not working, I have no set plans.
Right. So yeah, that's what now, and there'll probably be a vlog also for the Dimwits channel, or the Peculiar Encounters. Either way, I don't know which way I'll go with it, but probably the alternative because it is alternative. I mean, it's it fits.
I think that is considered the ultimate alternative
Mhm.
lifestyle.
So, because before that, last year's was on. No, I think last year's was the first time I put Pride Fest one on. Alternative Dimwits. Yeah, because there was that video on there. Before that, it was always on Peculiar Encounters, which is on my main channel. It's a different kind of thing. But Anyhow, so wrap it up here. Hopefully everyone enjoyed tonight. We're at just over 2 hours mark. I check in with my gamer buddies. We'll take an intermission here, and if anything else fails, we'll stream and do something on Twitch that we'll figure it out. So, let's see. So, all right. So Zach, next weekend maybe we'll see you, maybe not. Otherwise, we'll see you after. When you get back, and that will be fine. So, just stay up to date and stay safe. All right, everyone. That goes for everyone too. Stay safe, enjoy the week, and stay cool because I know things are heating up for certain areas, including here a little bit. Maybe I'll take the tortoises out for a walk again. We'll figure that out.
With how they were acting today, it was like they were expecting
Getting a little
it.
antsy, yeah. So, all right, peace, rock on, and yeah, I'll catch you next Friday. We should be back on schedule, regular schedule timing.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.